Good morning, students. Today I am going to teach you the second part of chapter number 9, and the topic is the comet first. And we will read the second part of this chapter. Students, in this part there was a British scientist who wrote a paper based on the Dada's discovery. That British scientist and the defense science advisor had a private meeting over this calamity. So what happened? To find out, we will start the chapter. So just open your book at page number 77 and listen to me very carefully. In the spacious dining hall of King's College, Cambridge, the butler whispered deferentially in the provost's ear and handed him an envelope on a silver tray. And the place was the spacious dining hall of King's College, Cambridge, and the chief servant, he whispered respectfully in the provost's ear, and he handed him an envelope that was on a silver tray. The provost beckoned James and passed on the envelope, saying, "It seems you are wanted urgently in your room." The provost, he pointed James. He gesticulated towards James. He pointed towards James and passed on the envelope, saying that it seemed to him that he was wanted urgently in his room. As he made his way towards the beautiful building, James opened the envelope. It contained a brief note. As he went towards the beautiful building, James opened the envelope, and in that envelope there was a brief note, and on that note it was written, "Dear Dr. Forsyth, the bearer of this note has been instructed to bring you to my office in London tonight." And in that note, something was written. What was written? It has been given here. It was written that the bearer of this note has been instructed to bring you to my office in London tonight. Please come without delay. I am making arrangements for your overnight stay in London. I regret the inconvenience caused to you and request you to keep your visit strictly confidential. Believe me, it is absolutely essential. Yours sincerely, John Macpherson. John Macpherson had written the letter. He had written that the bearer of that note had been instructed to bring him to his office in London tonight. It was also written to come without delay, and it was given that he was making arrangements for his overnight stay in London. He regretted for the discomfort caused to him and requested him to keep his visit strictly sacred. It was also mentioned to believe him. It was absolutely essential, necessary. It was written in the letter. The signature carried the designation underneath Defense Science Advisor, Her Majesty's Government, and designation was written under the signature, what? The Defense Science Advisor, Her Majesty's Government. A bowler-hatted man near the mantelpiece greeted him as James entered his sitting room. As James entered his sitting room, to whom the letter had to give, when he entered his room, a bowler-hatted man, he was near the fireplace, and he welcomed him, he greeted him. "I am Johnson, sir, security officer at Whitehall." He said that he was Johnson, and he was the security officer at Whitehall. He showed his identity card and continued, "I presume you know why I am here, sir." He showed his identity card, and he continued saying that I think you know why I am here. To the extent that is conveyed in this note, replied James. He knew that it would be useless to ask Johnson for further details. I won't take long. James replied that to the extent that is conveyed, that is written in this note, and he knew that it would be useless to ask Johnson for further details, so he said that he would not take long time. Johnson's Ford Cortina brought them to Whitehall in less than 90 minutes. Johnson's Ford Cortina. It brought both of them to Whitehall in less than 90 minutes. It took them another 10 minutes to reach the chambers of Sir John Macpherson's, and after that they reached the chamber of Sir John Macpherson's within 10 minutes. Having introduced James to Sir John, the quiet but efficient Johnson sat down. Having introduced James to Sir John, the quiet but potential Johnson, he slipped out from there. Dr. Forsyth, my apologies for this imposition on your time. Sir John advanced with outstretched hand. Sir John, he stretched his hands and he advanced, he moved forward towards Dr. Forsyth, and he said that he apologizes for that unfair demand, and to avoid any further delay, I will come to the point right away. Sir John handed him a type scripts. He said that he would come to the point right away, and he handed him a type script. Why? It is my paper to nature. How did you get these original manuscripts? When he saw that type scripts, he exclaimed with surprise that why, it was his paper that he had given to nature, and he asked how he had got that original handwritten material. James was surprised and somewhat uneasy. When James saw that typescript, that handwritten material, he was surprised and somewhat he did not feel comfortable. Sir John saw his anxiety and continued. Sir John Macpherson, he saw the anxiety, the worry of James, and he continued. Taylor, the editor of Nature, is a friend of mine. He told that Taylor, the editor of Nature, is a friend of mine, is a friend of his. I had asked Nature to publish it without delay since it is very important. James looked puzzled. James looked towards Sir John Macpherson, and he said that he had asked Nature to publish it without delay since it was very essential, it was very important. I agree that it is important, so important in fact that it must never be published. James said that he agreed that it was very important, and it was so important in fact that it must never be published. That is, if what you say is correct, Sir John lit his pipe. And whatever you are saying, Sir John Macpherson said that I agreed that it was very important, it was so important that it must never be published, and whatever you are saying, that is correct. And after that, Sir John Macpherson, he lit his pipe, he lit his cigar. James would never have tolerated aspersions on the accuracy of his work or the implied order that it must be suppressed. James would never have tolerated the harsh remarks on the accuracy of his work or the implied order that it must be suppressed, but he knew Sir John to be a respected scientist and was willing to hear him out. But he would have never tolerated that harsh remarks, but he knew that Sir John, to be a respected scientist, he was a respected scientist, and he was willing to hear, James was willing to hear him out. Please do not misunderstand me, Dr. Fawcett. I met Jalal today at lunch in the club where he showed me your paper. I still retain enough interest in astronomy, and he asked for my opinion before sending it to a professional referee. John McPherson said that please do not misunderstand me. Don't think incorrect about me. I met Jalal today at lunch in the club where he showed me your paper, and he said that he still retained enough interest in astronomy, so he asked my opinion before sending it to a professional referee. I immediately realized that your result has profound implications if it is correct. And when he showed me your paper, when he showed me your handwritten material, at that time I immediately realized that if whatever you have written, if that was correct, so it had the deep result. Your result has profound implications. Okay? Let me assure you, Sir John, that is correct. I stake my reputation on it. James could not contain himself anymore. Now, James could not control himself, and he said that I wanted to assure you, Sir John, that whatever I have written, that is correct, and I have put my fame, my reputation on stake. Do you realize what will happen if Comet Datta collides with the Earth as you predict it will? Sir John McPherson asked James if he realized what would happen if Comet Datta collided with the Earth as he predicted it would. The effects will be catastrophic. Then James replied that the effects would be calamitous, destructive, and that is why I have taken extra care to verify my calculations. And he said that is the reason he had taken extra care to verify his calculations. Bearing rare circumstances, the collision is inevitable, and he said that except some rare circumstances, the collision is inevitable. James was confident, but Sir John picked out the one qualifying phrase. What are those rare circumstances? James was confident that the collision was inevitable, but Sir John picked out the one qualifying phrase, one line, and he asked that what those rare circumstances were. Well, it might collide with some asteroid before reaching here, or it might just spilt up when near the sun, or it might evaporate. He said that the rare circumstances were that it might collide with some small planet before reaching here, or it might just break up when near the sun, or it might evaporate. But one cannot count on these but one cannot count on these fortuitous circumstances. Sir John McPherson said that one cannot depend on these circumstances that will happen by chance. We have to proceed on the assumptions that Comet Datta will collide with the Earth. We have to proceed on the opinion that Comet Datta will collide with the Earth. Cometary collisions are expected to occur once in 10 million years, but now we know that the next one will occur in a year. Sir John McPherson said that cometary collisions are expected to occur once in 10 million years, but now we know that the next one will occur in a year. 10 months to be precise. Interjected James. James interrupted that within 10 months. the next collision will occur, not in a year, but in the next 10 months. Thank you for the correction. Do you realize that we have only 10 months of survival left for the entire living species on the earth? Sir John Macpherson thanked him and he asked him if he realized that they had only 10 months of survival left for the entire living species on the earth. Don't you think we have to do something to stop all this? He also asked if he did not think they had to do something to stop all that collisions. A fleeting smile crossed James' face. A momentary smile, it crossed on James' face just like a civil servant, as if we are facing here a minor breakdown of law and order. He thought to himself aloud. He said, "How may I ask, can we prevent this natural catastrophe?" James smiled, and it was just like a civil servant, as if we are facing a minor breakdown of law and order. And he said aloud that, "How may I ask, how can we prevent this natural destruction? I don't know, but we have no option but to try." He said that we don't know how to control, but anyhow we have no option, but we have only to try. I think we need more than 2 brains to handle this situation. And he said that they need more than 2 brains to handle this situation, and it is essential to call an urgent meeting of experts from all over the world to think of a counter measure and of course in total secrecy. And he said that it was very essential to call an urgent meeting of experts from all over the world to think over this topic, and it should be total in secrecy. It should be sacred. The meeting should be sacred, and it was essential to call the urgent meeting of experts from all over the world, but the meeting should be sacred. Think of the panic in the world if this dreadful news leaks out. He said that just think about this dreadful news if this news leaks out. Sir John glanced at the manuscript in James' hand, and Sir John Macpherson, he glanced at the handwritten material which was in the James' hand. "My suppressing this paper will not hide the truth, Sir John," James said. James said that my hiding this paper will not hide the truth. It would not prevent the collision. There are others who will arrive at the same conclusion sooner or later. There are other scientists also, and they will also arrive at the same conclusion. It should be sooner or later. No, don't suppress it, but tone it down. Sir John Macpherson said that don't suppress it, but just malaxate it, make it light, add many ifs and buts to make your conclusion appear not so certain. Whatever you have written, just add many ifs and buts to make your conclusion appear not so certain. You have to add many ifs and buts to make your conclusion not certain. I will exert all my influence with friends in other countries to make them exercise a similar restraint for a while. And he said that he would apply all his influence, all his effect with friends in other countries to make them exercise a similar control for a while. He said that he should add many ifs and buts to make his conclusion that will appear uncertain, and he would apply all his effect with his friends who were in another country to make them exercise a similar control for a while, for some time. For how long? James asked, for how long time? Until this rest comet is safely out of the way. He said that you have to control it until this raised comet is safely out of the way. Let's spend some time now we should spend some time now to plan the details of that international conference. Shall we call it in a week's time here? And he also asked if they should call that international conference in a week time, a week to plan such an important sacred conference of international experts. James thought it an impossible task. James thought that it was an impossible task to plan such an important sacred conference of international experts in a week was impossible. He thought that to plan such an important sacred conference, sacred meeting of international experts within a week was an impossible task. But Sir John disagreed. But Sir John Macpherson, he did not agree with James, and he began to spell out details, and after that he started clarifying the details. Okay, so students, that's all for today. The chapter is over, and I have written the word meaning also. You will write all the word meanings, and I will provide you the answers of the questions that have been given in your exercise. So that's all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.